Books, The Vast Frontier. These are the reading journals of Mona Lisa Reads. Her never-ending mission to explore awesome and vast worlds, to seek out new authors and diverse characters, to boldly read where many have read before. Hi everybody, my name is Mona Lisa and welcome to my channel Mona Lisa Reads. And first and foremost, the lighting's going to get weird. The sun is setting and the light's coming through the leaves in the tree, and we're just working with it because this is my third day trying to record this and life has just been lifey. So we're going to roll with it. We're going to make it work and just go with whatever happens here. But as the title says, I am blaming Michael Vaughan for something. And I'm going to also discuss Book Trek 2025 in this video. And surprisingly, these two things are connected. So, you know, you have the booktubers that when you start your booktube journey, you connect with some, or some you just find different from all the others, and you are really interested in what they have to say, so you start following them, and the more you follow them, the more you like them, or whatnot. And Michael Vaughan is one of those booktubers for me. I don't read horror, I'm really not into comics, and so a lot of what he does westerns. I'm going to be reading my first western here in the next month or so, so he's got me kind of interested in it, but we'll see if I end up liking it or not. I mean, Lonesome Dove is on one of my 50 books to read before I turn 50. So, I don't really read a lot of the same stuff as Michael Vaughan, but as a friend of mine said, Michael Vaughan can make anything sound amazing and cool and good. And I have to agree with that. I don't know that I would necessarily always agree with him. Like, Dracula is not my favorite book. It is one of his. And so, I don't know, there's something about his quirkiness and just how he talks about books and his excitement about books and having the massive library that he does. I mean, a 500 book challenge is insane. There's a part of me that kind of wishes I had that many books to do that kind of a challenge, but I don't, so I'm just reading the ones that I do have. But watching one of his videos, he said, and let me preface this with, I grew up watching Star Trek. My mom was a Trekkie back with the original series, and so I'd watch some of that growing up when reruns and whatnot. And then the Next Generation came out, all hot and bothered by Jonathan Frakes / Will Riker and Will Wheaton / Wesley Crusher. So I have my crushes and whatnot. And so, you know, I was like 13, so it makes total sense. But so I grew up a Trekkie. I've never dressed up as a character or whatever, but I enjoy watching Star Trek. All the different, I haven't watched the more recent years of Star Trek stuff, but like the older stuff, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, the Next Generation, and the original series. So Michael Vaughan was talking about all these books he has, and he decided he was going to do a challenge of reading all the Star Trek books. If you know anything about Star Trek, they're constantly coming out with new books, and with the new series come more books and movies and everything, and so there are hundreds of Star Trek books. And so I was like, that sounds like a great idea. I would love to do that. So I'm blaming Michael Vaughan for this insane challenge of reading every Star Trek book ever. I'm doing it. It's very slow going right now because life is lifey and whatnot, but I have started the collection. As you saw in my opening, I have a lot of Star Trek books. About 1.5 boxes worth. Right now I'm looking over trying to gauge it. About 1.5 boxes worth. And I've kind of decided, in a way, I'm a purist. I've got to start from the beginning and do chronological. So I've started collecting that. I've started off with the books by James Blish. This is one of them. There's Star Trek 1 through 12. And currently I'm on number 4. I haven't started this. This is the next one for me to read. They're interesting because he had not seen the show. All he was getting was like the scripts of the shows, and so he did novelizations of the different shows. And in the Star Trek 3, he did Trouble with Tribbles. It does follow the script, but there was just like, they don't have the scene of the Klingons and the Enterprise crew battling it out in the bar and stuff. Just I giggle and enjoy that episode, and I just felt like a lot was missing. And I've noticed that with these novelizations of the episodes, there's just stuff for the episodes that I do remember. like, oh, that's missing this, or that's not quite how it happened. Plus, also, I noticed early in this, like books 1 and 2 especially, it kind of was giving what Kirk was thinking, or what was going on internally of the characters, and you don't really get that with the show. So I'm going to put this one down. You don't get that with the show. You didn't get Kirk's inner monologue and stuff. So that was different, and I didn't get used to it, but I'm like, okay, here he goes again. But anyways, so there's that, and then there's a series of log 1 through, I believe, 10, and I forget the author, so here you go. I have that series, and then I printed out, somebody online wrote out like all this different series, and when the date that they were published, the author, the name of the book, if it's part of a series, and that whole thing. So I printed that out, and I've been keeping a log, and I have taken it with me places, and to see, okay, no, I have that book, I don't need that, I need this. And so I almost have the first page, which has all the original series, well, not all the books in that series, but the whole front page is covered by the original series, and it's almost completely lined through. I recently went on a trip, and we stopped at a bookstore along the way home, and I found some more books that almost complete that first page, and I'll go over those in a minute. So it's kind of exciting for me to collect. I'm trying to focus mostly on the original series, although there have been some from the Next Generation I've gotten, because they've been in really prime condition and really good price, like $1, $2. So I've been collecting the Next Generation as well. So that's been exciting for me, and I'm slowly reading it. And I don't know if I'll end up with like the hundreds of Star Trek books in my house, because that'd be a lot. But I'll definitely go through and figure out what my favorites are, and then kind of weed through them. But I'm definitely trying to do chronological. My problem is there's some of the very early on books that I'm having a hard time finding. And so it's like the 4th or 5th book, maybe 6th, that was ever written that I can't find. So I may have to eBay it, or see if I can maybe find it on Pango or something like that and get it from there. But if I don't have those books in the order of publication, then I'm going to just skip it and then read it when I do find it. But yeah, Michael Vaughan, this is all your fault. All your fault. I'm blaming you for every bit of this. I'm taking no responsibility at all for this. I think I'm gonna enjoy it. I know there's some really good Star Trek books in every series, you know, the Next Generation, Voyager, whatnot. And there's gonna be some bummers and some that I'm really not gonna like. Like this whole series by James Blish is I prefer the show for the most part over the novelizations of the episodes. So there's that. But I think it's a really interesting challenge, because these books may be in the Star Trek world, right? But it's not like of the episode. There's like additional things that happened in between episodes type situation. So I'm excited to read New Adventures of the Enterprise and Voyager and Deep Space Nine. I'm excited for all of it. I know that there are some series out there that are just amazing, and people, especially Trekkies, are all about, this series is amazing, this explains so much, or this really took it to another level, or it combines this world and this world. And there's the whole Kelvin line and whatnot, and I haven't kind of delved into that yet. And like I said, I'm really focused on the original series, so that's going to be some time. So I think I'm going to kind of slow my roll a little bit on buying the original series and just work on those beginning ones that I can't find. If I can't find them in like a year, I might, do a bit more research and get them. But I'm excited about this challenge, but it's totally Michael Vaughan's fault, because he said, I'm going to read all the Star Trek books. I'm like, I'm going to do that too. I.e., and they don't have a lot of them at the library, so you kind of have to buy them. So Michael Vaughan, my husband's wallet, is not very high. Actually, I worked very hard on getting them used and very cheap. So, and I've been able to find some great deals. But still, and my husband's great. He encourages this. He allows it. He's okay, whatnot. So, like I said, a couple weeks ago, we were driving back from Tennessee, and husband got to go ziplining. Like, how much did you spend? He said, I spent this much. I'm like, oh, so I get that much to spend on books. He's like, sold. So I haven't spent all the money I'm allowed yet. So I can still. There's some specific books, not Star Trek, that I want to get. So, and I know I want them on my shelves. One for me to read, but also two for when my daughter's older to read them with her. So, but when I was at this bookstore, I found, like I said, 4 or 5 books that were on the very first sheet of the original series that I've been looking for and haven't been able to find. Or if I found them, the condition hasn't been great. So I was thrilled beyond belief. And some of these books, I've kind of learned how hard they are to find. So I'm like, I'm getting them and I'm getting them out. I don't care what the condition. It's next to impossible to find. So when you go through the books, I'm not going to go through books I got at several different book hauls, but these I'll go through because there's a few, but not a lot. Okay, so the first, let's say 4. I have, and I'm going to hold the cover up, but then I'm going to cover it up with a closer shot without a big, huge sticker on the front, is the Epidemic. What do you say? Epidemic. Oh my gosh. So there's that one. I'm not even going to hold them up because they have the big stickers and I'll pop up a bigger picture. So I have the Epidemic, and that's by Jean Laura, I believe. The Galactic Whirlpool. And this, when they says Star Trek and I look at the cover and I was like, oh, there's a little tiny Enterprise next to that big world space thingy. But that's by David Gerald. And then you have The Entropy Effect. That's by Vonda N. McIntyre. Perry's Planet by Jack Haldeman II. And this one I've actually been looking for quite a while. So I was thrilled to find that one. Let's see. We also have Death's Angel. This is another one that... This cover, I gotta tell you, is pretty creepy and weird. And the skull and, Enterprise inside the hourglass. But if I had just looked at it, I would have had to catch that the Enterprise was in this cover, or else I would have never guessed it was a Star Trek book. So, yeah, but Death's Angel by Kathleen Skye. I have Vulcan's Glory by D.C. Fontana. And I actually owned this book at one point. I'm like, done with Star Trek. I'm not going to read anymore. Look at me 20 years later, delving into all the books. But this is by J.M. Dillard, The Lost Years. And I'm pretty sure I read this, or at least I know I started at one point. I can't recall if I finished it, but I had it for years, got rid of it. I won't know if I read the whole book until I actually start reading the book. Let's see. Oh yeah, that rings bells. Sorry. And then this one is by Josepha Sherman and Suzanne Schwartz. It's Vulcan's Forge. Don't know anything about most of these books. Okay. Story time. So when I was 12, almost 13 years old, many eons ago, I had to have back surgery. I had scoliosis and wore a brace for 7 years, and my curve was just getting worse and worse. And if you don't know, when that happens, when your spine's not straight and it's either an S or C curve, it makes your torso smaller because the spine's not straight. So when that starts to happen, it can start to cause issues with your organs. It can start pressing on your lungs and your heart and cause some serious issues. So I had surgery when I was almost 13. And I had presents and gifts from people. And we had this really sweet... I'm going to cry. We had this really sweet older couple who were like a third set of grandparents for me. And I think about them often. And they would take me out for birthday shopping trips or lunch, and remember spending time at their home growing up and stuff. And they were and I sat with them at church, and Ruth would play with my ear, and I'd fall asleep. And Andy always had peppermints or candies in his pocket. He's one of those old guys that have that. They were just a sweet old couple, and I love them. And I remember she gave me a sponge bath at the hospital after surgery, and just really great people. Well, I received a Star Trek book from them because I think Mom had told them at the time I was into Star Trek and I was reading some of the books, and so they gave me a book and I read it. It was book number 7 in Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's written by John Vornholt. Masks. So, I don't remember a lot about. I don't even remember what this book is. I know masks are somehow involved. I do remember that. This tells you how much I had a crush on Jonathan Frakes back in the day. There's a line in this book that says, "And Riker, ripping off his tunic, revealing a broad, well-muscled chest." I don't know what the rest of the story is, or what rest of that sentence is, but I know that part of the sentence. Because I read that part over and over and over again. I just was like, and there were times you would see him different episodes with his shirt off, or some weird shawl type thing, tied at his waist or whatever. And so I could imagine as 13 years old. I mean, yeah. So, so I have been looking for this particular book in really good condition for a while. I've seen it where the spines are broken and stuff. I'm like, no, I'm going to hold off. There's a little bit of stuff up here, but otherwise it's in really great condition. So that is the last book I have from the recent haul of Star Trek books. Michael Vaughan, this is all your fault. So I don't know if he's going to see this video. He probably doesn't know me from Adam at all. So, but anyway. But I am blaming Michael Vaughan for this Star Trek obsession that I've now... I was good with just watching the shows. I wasn't thinking about reading the books again, and then he said that, and I'm like, yes. So, Michael Vaughan, your fault. Now, what does this have to do with Book Trek 2025? Book Trek, Star Trek, get it? So, then over at Revenant Reads I think this is now the 4th year he's doing Book Trek. And it's very simple, and I will put a link to this year's announcement video for Book Trek. It's simple. To participate, it's between June and August. Read a Star Trek book. Any book you want. Doesn't matter which one. You don't have to read more than one. If you read one book, you've participated. And that is the main mission, right? You have away missions. One is to read a science book of any kind that's not Star Trek. So, real science. It can be study of the cosmos, it can be biology, it could be whatever, any kind of science, any kind of book, right? That's away mission 1. Away mission 2 is to read, and give me a second, I'll be right back. I gotta pull up exactly what it says. So the second away mission is read a book about, inspired, or somehow connected to Star Trek. So it could be a biography of one of the actors or actresses. It could be about production history. It could be about the making of Star Trek. It could be about Gene Roddenberry. There's so many different avenues you can go about with that away mission. I don't know what I'm going to do for that away mission. I know there's some audiobooks by different actors and actresses from this different series that I can read. I'll probably do that. As far as for the science book, I don't know. Science is not my forte. So I don't know what, or if I'm even going to do that one this year. I've got so much on my plate as far as reading that may not happen. Just may not. But that's fine because I got plenty of other Star Trek books to read through. So that is how Book Trek 2025 and blaming Michael Vaughan are connected. Star Trek. I'm disappointed I never got to my Star Trek 4 book by James Blish in the month of June. I really was hoping that by this point I'd have at least 2 Star Trek books under my belt, but we went out of town for a week. I'm really trying to get through The Hobbit so I can move on to reading Fellowship of the Rings with my friend Bookish Chaz. This month I'm supposed to do 2, the Fellowship of the Ring and an Agatha Christie buddy read with him, and man, I'm drowning. I'm trying so hard to get books read, and life is just lifey, so I'm not getting through them as quickly as I would like. Audiobooks are definitely saving me as far as getting any reading done nowadays, and I'm missing my physical reads and having a lot of time to do that, but I wouldn't trade having my daughter from her reading time at all. it's worth it. Do you think I'm right in blaming Michael K. Vaughan for this mess? For this Star Trek craziness this crazy mission I've taken myself on? I mean, the 50 before 50 is a pretty big mission, you know? But reading all the Star Trek books, and I don't know if I'll ever accomplish it because they're constantly coming out with new, but it's a goal to reach for. And I think as I have more access to Star Trek books through Library and Libby and Hoopla and stuff, that I may start going down that road and buying only the books that I really want on my shelves. Because to have hundreds of Star Trek books, I just don't think is like going to be manageable. I really have been good about sticking to only buying books that I really want on my shelves. So my husband's coming inside with our daughter. But anyways, Michael K. Vaughan, thank you for this crazy huge challenge that you influenced me on. Still blaming you, but thank you. And let me know, are you participating in Book Trek at all? If you are, have you read any books? What are they? Did you like them? If not, are you now interested in doing that? What books would you be interested in or plan on reading for Book Trek? Would you, if you were me, blame Michael K. Vaughan for this mission I've taken on?
Mama!
And little girl's here, so... No! Hi, baby. Just a minute. Wait. See, she has curly hair. She gets that from her grandpa. Would you... So, this is my cue to go. But I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming and spending some time with me. And I would love to know your thoughts. Blame Michael K. Vaughan? Yes? No? Maybe? Book check? Are you joining? Yes? No? Let me know what books you're reading. Star Trek fan? Yes? No?
Daddy!
Yeah, Daddy. Okay, I will talk to you later, guys. Everybody, have a great day and enjoy reading.